Welcome, everybody. This is our very first podcast here on Where's Your Focus? My name is Linda, and this is Karen Alexander.
Okay. I don't know if you have both of us on or not, do you?
Yeah, I see us as side by side, so
okay, because I see you. I don't know what everybody else is seeing.
Okay,
and maybe it's both of us. That's fine.
I'm just going to look and see what we have going on here. This is our first time. Sure. There's always that technicality.
Exactly.
Okay, so
as we get more into it, it'll get a little bit easier.
So there we go. Yes, we are side by side. That's what people see.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Karen Alexander. This is not exactly how we had planned on doing it today. We were supposed to be in the same room, but everybody knows what's going on in the world. So we kind of had to stick to our own houses, and this is what we have.
Yeah, so we're actually neighbors, and we live in very close proximity. We've been really good friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we've had many different types of conversations and watched each other kind of grow. And we were both kind of planning on doing our own. And then we decided to do this instead.
Exactly. I have to put on my glasses because I have made some notes here so that we kind of stay on track with our first podcast and all. Mm-hmm. It can be a little nerve-wracking. And of course, my eyes are getting older because I'm a little bit older than Linda. So I need my glasses to find out where we are. Yeah. So how we came to the podcast, like Linda said, we had both planned on having our own podcast. And as we get together and sit and chat, and especially with everything that's going on in the world, we kind of spend more time around your neighbors. We decided to sit and perhaps do one together instead of separately. So what we had planned on doing was talking about spirituality and growth and different things.
Yep. And so we know through the years of being close that we are both extremely passionate about our own personal growth, about helping others in their personal growth as well. And so we really wanted to come together and be able to share our experiences, and hopefully that touches your guys' lives in your personal growth and spiritual journey, right?
Exactly. So what to expect, I guess we'll explain that out next, Linda, what you can expect in our podcasts. Mm-hmm. So again, like Linda said, the growth, spirituality. So we're going to be doing a podcast every Wednesday, once a week. The last podcast of the month is going to be, how did we explain it, Linda? It was going to be an interactive one.
Yes. So if during the month, if you have questions, if you have anything coming up for you that you want to ask us, the last Wednesday of the month, we want to focus on answering your questions. And we would like it to be interactive. So if you wanted to either call one of our lines, which we will provide you with the phone number on the page, so that we can, either have you live here or answer your questions, read them out and answer them that way.
Right. And also occasionally we'll have guests. So we do have some really exciting guests lined up. I'm not sure if we're going to have any in December or if it's going to be in January, but we possibly might have some in December, but we've got some really exciting guests coming up. Yeah. Other than that, we are going to have a weekly focus. So basically it's going to be like one word or one phrase that's going to be our focus for that specific week of the podcast. So as an example, the next one I think we had discussed and was going to be healing, right?
That's right.
Right. So there's a couple of other ones that we talked about. I don't know if you remember the ones, Linda. I don't have them in front of me right now. We had talked about words, how important words are,
Absolutely.
energy, forgiveness, a big one, frequency,
Habits.
so habits,
The life,
gossip.
okay, and an empath, like being an empath, would talk about
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. And then gossip and how that can kind of set you off on the wrong path. And yeah, so there's all kinds of different things. And suggestion, perhaps, Linda, we could ask people if they are interested in perhaps giving us what they would like to hear first.
Absolutely. I would love
Right?
that. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. What else do we have planned? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that we would like to talk about the Schumann's resonance every week. So if you want to tell them a little bit about what the
Right.
Schumann's resonance is, that would be great.
Exactly. The other thing we're going to do just before I get into the Schumann's resonance is we were going to do a shout out of somebody who was important, not important, I don't want to say important, somebody who has touched our lives, I guess, during that week. And anybody else who if they have a shout out of what they can also, of somebody that's touched them, they can also put that in comments and we can perhaps mention that as well.
Absolutely, yes. So if you see somebody in your life being a little bit of a superstar, kind of stepping out of their comfort zone, doing things, we want to really encourage people to start following their dreams, start stepping out and doing things a little bit different than the way that they've done them before. And if you see somebody like that, please let us know so we can, send a little bit of energy to that person to give them a little bit of a boost.
Right. Good. Okay, so the Schumann's resonance. Sherman's resonance. So I always have difficulty saying that word. So I don't know. Some of you may already know what it is. Some of you may not. So basically, what it is the Schumann's resonance was discovered by a German scientist back around 1952, and his name was Winfried Otto Schumann. At the time, we didn't know a whole lot about frequency in the world. It was something very new, right? So he discovered that there was radio waves basically around the earth, in and around the earth, and that the frequency was there. And it was a very low frequency. So it's kind of like a series, a spectrum of peaks that's in and around the world, around the earth, right? Because nobody knew too much about it, it was kind of brushed under the mat, I guess. And because there was no realization of what it actually did and what was actually going on with it. And it wasn't until about 30 years later that another scientist, Hans Berger, I believe was his name, he was the first to record the electromagnetic field or the electromagnetic waves of the brain. And that was where they came up with the EEG, right? So that was back in the 80s. And one of his colleagues, he didn't know anything about the Schumann's resonance, but one of his colleagues had done some research and brought it to his attention then about the Schumann's resonance. And when he started looking into it, he kind of then took it to another level, right? From what the German scientists had actually started. So he kind of continued on with the work. And what he discovered was that the resonance of the earth was in exact harmony as the resonance of our bodies. So that's quite interesting, right?
Very interesting.
What we know now as to what's going on is, you know about, well, Linda knows, but I don't know if any of the rest of you know about the crystals. The crystals that had fallen in Atlantis were placed strategically around the earth, and they started to awaken in 2008, on August the 8th, 2008, and then consecutively every year on the 8808, 9909, 101010, 111111, and 121212, the different crystals started to awaken. So there was 9 in all, and by 121212, all of the crystals had awakened. Before that, the resonance of the earth had not changed. Not that we knew about. Okay, so 7.83 is the Schumann's resonance. That's the resonance of the earth. So some people will call it the earth's heartbeat, or the Earth's vibration, heartbeat of Mother Earth, right? So in 2012, once all the crystals were awoken, there started to be a slight difference in the vibration of the Earth. So that 7.83 hertz started fluctuating. It started going up and going down and going up and going down, okay? In 2017, I believe it was in January of 2017, is when it really started to move. So it hit 32 or 36 plus hertz in 2017. So and since then, in 2019, I think it was around October of 2019 that it really became more active in the fluctuations. So it would go up, 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 right? And it was around that time that people started waking up. Now, if we keep in mind, and I shouldn't say that because people were waking up before then, but the big thing to remember here is that, or the big thing to look at, I guess, is the frequency and what each frequency does, right? So if the frequency of our bodies, of our beings, was the same as the frequency of the Earth to start, and the frequency of the Earth is rising, you can imagine that it's got to have an effect on us, right? Mm-hmm. So from there, it's to realize what the frequencies are. And if you look at 7.83, it's kind of on the cusp of the alpha theta frequency, theta alpha, right? So that's the frequency of being very relaxed, very grounded, very kind of in a sleep mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when you're going to sleep, you're actually going from your beta into alpha into theta, and you dream theta delta. That delta is the lowest.
Right. So you can imagine as the frequency raises, it's kind of taking you out of that sleep mode.
Okay.
Right? Which that's where you can see the Great Awakening, why it's called the Great Awakening.
Wow.
Right? Of what we're going through right now. Isn't that amazing?
I think
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the different frequencies bring up different things. So the higher, like certain frequencies will bring up more emotions than others. Mm-hmm. Other frequencies will bring up, pain. So there's so much that's involved with the frequencies. And I mean, I use them all the time in what I do, but yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
It is exciting. And this is why we want to bring this information to you, because we want to be able to help you understand some of the things that might be happening to you as the frequency keeps rising and rising, because that's what it's doing now.
Exactly. And over the course of the last 3 days, I don't know if you've noticed anything, Linda, over the course of the last 3 days yourself, but the frequency has been quite high over the last 3 days. Now, I don't know exactly what it was because like I said earlier, I was supposed to go in and check that this morning, and I just didn't go in and check what it is today. But I think it's probably a little bit better today, or else my body is getting used to it.
And that's what happens too, is as the frequency keeps rising, it takes your body some time to get used to this new vibration that is happening to everybody. And so some of the things that you might be getting is you might have memories from the past that are bringing up emotions that are ready to be released. And the more that we release these hard emotions, these thick emotions, the more that we are rising our vibrations to match what's happening on the planet.
Exactly. So it's a very exciting time. A lot of people are in the beginning when I guess back in March, a lot of people were noticing a lot of joint pain, a lot of myself, it was all the waist down. And a lot of people had said the same thing, that everything was the waist down. So your ankles might have been sore, your feet. For me personally, the last year, I was having a lot of trouble with my feet and my ankles. Now, like we were talking about the other day, Linda, it's more in the shoulders, the neck, the head. Like this morning, the top of my head. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
It was really the crown area this morning.
it's funny too, because I had been struggling with, I'm constantly moving out emotions. I find they're moving very, very quickly now. They're not hanging around for very long at all.
Mhm.
But I had been struggling for a couple of weeks with a habit that I have been, why am I drawn to doing this? What's happening here? And so I've been really trying to dive deeper and deeper to get into why this craving is happening. And just suddenly I think it was yesterday morning, I had the vision of, something that happened in my childhood. And then it all started to come together about, you know, what that incident taught me about teaching other people, actually.
Mhm.
And it just, shifted everything. And now, I'm like 48 hours into it, and there's a huge difference. I definitely feel a lot lighter. But this is the kinds of things that I find have been happening very quickly for me, and I see it happening in my community as well. People are just moving through and coming up lighter and lighter very quickly. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've noticed a difference in time, actually. Like you said, things are moving a lot faster. And this is especially since everything that started in March, with the lockdown and everything. Since all of that, like, time seems to be moving so much faster. And which is why we're able to move out those emotions and that trauma much faster than we could years ago, right? And even last year.
yeah,
So, and like yourself, since all this has started happening, I mean, before we've been working for years and years on our inner beings, right? Our inner peace. But over the course of the last 8 months, it just seems like even if you don't want to work on it, you kind of got no choice right now, because there's just the frequency of the earth changing and everything that's going on. It's kind of forcing people to go, whoa, what is that? Right?
absolutely. So let's go into a little bit of our history and kind of talk a little bit about how we got started on our spiritual path to begin with. And
Sure. So you want to go ahead and start?
no, I want to hear yours first.
You're funny. The older
I'll
goes,
start
the
it. Don't
oldest
matter to
goes
me, but
first. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
well, okay, I'll start. So I started off, and I thought that I had like my great awakening when I was 19, which I did. And that was 22 years ago. But Karen also reminded me that I started interpreting my own dreams when I was 15. And then when I
Mhm.
remembered, like when she reminded me of that, I also actually had some spiritual experiences younger than that. And that's just one of the things, you just don't give yourself enough credit sometimes.
Exactly.
But I have early experiences of feeling when I would be in a dark room, like I didn't have a body, like I was just like this expanded, and after a while that started to get really intimidating to me. So I had to do some different things to help myself to feel like I was living in my body. And then, interpreting my own dreams when I was 15 led me to um, on the beginning parts of a journey of finding my own like my biological father, and which I found when I was 22, 7 years later. But it started at 15. That's what that original dream was all about. And then at 19, I had my great awakening where I made the commitment that I never wanted to stop doing this journey of spiritual development, learning who I am, kind of sorting out things that have happened to me, my traumas, and all of that stuff. I went on to study, and I started in Edmonton, Alberta. After I had met my dad, he pushed me to go to college, and he paid for me to go to Grant MacEwan, where I studied holistic healing. And there I studied many different things like therapeutic touch, talk therapy, traditional Chinese medicine. I did,
Aromatherapy.
what's that?
Aromatherapy.
Aromatherapy. The Bach flowers came, but those two came a little bit later. But
Oh, okay.
there I studied. There was a bunch of stuff. It was just overwhelming. Numerology and light therapy and all that I studied early on. And then we went on to I went on to nutrition. I studied nutrition in between, and then I went on to holistic healing, and that's where I learned all about the aromatherapy Bach flowers. I learned about therapeutic aesthetics, massage, how to read the body. So really how to understand your emotional and physical connections, how to really read energy, hands-on. It was very hands-on. I did a Reiki level 1 at that time too. And then, I kind of took a little bit of a rest when I had my daughter. And then about 6 years, so that was about 4 years ago, I started to really get back into it. I started to write my book on dream interpretation. And then that took me about 2 years to really get that published. And then once I published the dream interpretation book, things started to roll a lot faster for me. And I published my runes, just the basic angel runes, and also the chakra reading runes. And like I said, I would say the last 4 years, things have, and inside my spirituality and everything has grown at a very fast rate. And so, yeah, things have been moving along quite well. So.
Quite well. Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of fun because where we do live next door to each other, and we've been together now for what, 10 years?
10
We've
years.
lived next door to each other. So we kind of get to see each other grow and see what the differences are and outlooks and so many. It's kind of fun to have somebody next door. And I hear my husband is getting up there. He worked all night. It's kind of fun to have somebody next door who you can actually kind of bounce things off of, and that's great. I mean, my dreams, the first thing I did was to go to you with my dreams, which we should probably give you a little shout out there, Linda, about that dream book if you want to. If you see, the way Linda explained it to me was, we're all unique. And so when we dream, spirit is letting us know, giving us messages that are unique to us. So having somebody else decipher what you're dreaming kind of doesn't make sense. You have to do it yourself. And so this book that Linda wrote, I purchased. I think it was the first day it published, right? And I went through it, and luckily I had a really strange dream like that night or a week or so before. And when I went through and deciphered the dream with Linda's book, it was amazing, the message that came through. And I would have never known. I would have completely missed the message had I not known how to decipher. So that might be a link that we want to put, Linda, to your book, so that anybody else who's having a bit of trouble with their dreams, they can go in and purchase your book, because it isn't expensive and it's not a long read. It's very very easy read and very easy to do. Actually.
Yeah. And it's almost just like a little handbook. It gives you a little bit of science, a little bit of the history, and just how to get in there and do it and get it done. It's nothing too crazy, but
but it's a great tool.
A great tool.
It's an amazing tool to have. Yeah. And you learned that at 15 years old.
Yes. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so I have been using my dreams actually for personal growth for a long, long time. And it wasn't until I decided to write the book that I learned about Carl Jung, who had said that, he had the same ideas about dream interpretation as I do, is that you shouldn't have somebody else tell you what your dreams mean, because your dreams are so deep in your subconscious mind that when somebody tells you what it means, you inject that meaning so deep back there, and it's confusing to the subconscious mind, right? Because your experiences programs your mind like a computer. And so your experiences and the emotions that you attach to your experiences go deep into the subconscious mind. So when you dream, your subconscious mind is triggering those emotions along with those physical meanings. And so, it's just a really good idea to just figure them out for yourself. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's a whole lifetime of learning that you've done already, and you're still only not even half you're more than half my age, but
half your age.
That's funny.
We're not that far
Yeah.
apart.
No, we're not that far apart. Well, you could be my daughter,
I
right?
think what's that?
I said you could be my daughter.
Mhm. That's okay.
That's
Okay,
okay.
so let's talk about your journey.
Okay, so for me, um, I wasn't. I'm more in the baby boomers, so our time was a little different than yours. So the awakening wasn't as early as what yours was. I started. I think what kind of triggered me was I was around 24, 25 years old when everything came out about the little boys being molested in the church and everything, right? Because I was Catholic. I grew up as Catholic. And we'd have to go to church and all of that stuff. But I just thought, something is not right here. And that kind of set me on a journey of studying different religions and trying to find out. So I kind of went off, when you're off trying to figure out who you are and what's going on. I kind of went that road of religion for a little bit to try to figure out what is this? What is going on here, right? And um, I wasn't happy with anything that I heard. So the thing that really kind of made me look was a book, and I'm sure you've heard of it, The Celestine Prophecy.
Absolutely.
And I read that when I was 25 years old. And that was kind of a big eye opener for me. So I already had two children. I was already, things like, oh, mommy, I have a headache. Come and take my headache away. And I would put my hands and take away the headache, not realizing that I wasn't the one that was actually doing it at the time because I didn't know enough about it, right? So, but I was already using energy, and I was already doing using herbs for medications, like making different things with herbs, and I was already using essential oils and different things. But then, like yourself with children and everything, you kind of get out of it, when you get into your career, your career where you have to make money and kind of move on, and so I got into that, and I was in finances for many, many years. And then and I kind of, went in and out a little bit of spirituality. I'd be in it for a little while, and then life would take over again, and then I'd go back in it. And I think probably it was around 2013 when I got sick. I became very, very ill. And that, they say that's what happens, right? There's some kind of a catastrophe or some kind of a big trauma that comes into your life that kind of makes you go, whoa, hang on here. What's going on, and what direction do I really want to go in? It's kind of your fork in the road, right?
Yeah.
And so from that point, I started delving into the different things about energy. And first off, my start was to heal my body, right?
Mhm.
And I started studying with a gentleman in Nova Scotia about natural health, where I learned an awful lot about natural health. And of course, I would go to you sometimes, Linda, because Linda's, like she gave you everything that she does with that. So from there, once I kind of got everything going a little bit better, I noticed that there was a course on spiritual alignment connection. So I decided that I was going to go and take that course. And I don't know why, because I didn't know what it was. And it was just something that kept coming up, and it kept calling me to go and do that. So I did spiritual alignment connection course. And basically what that is it's all about energy in the meridian lines in your body, waking that up and stuff. And after I did that course, I started doing spiritual alignment connection sessions on family and friends. And what happened was some things that I kind of didn't expect. And it was that they would go into past life regression on the table. Well, I had no clue what past life regression was or how to deal with it. So that made me then go and look into past life regression and hypnosis. So I did that. And that helped me with the spiritual alignment connection when the family or friends or clients or whoever was on the table would go into a past life regression to be able to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
From there, I went on to do Reiki. I did my 4 levels of Reiki, Master Reiki. I did crystal therapy. I did Oh my goodness, what else did I do? Crystal therapy. Gee, I have to look because I don't even remember. I did crystal therapy, spiritual alignment connection, crystal therapy, and then got back into the oils again. I did some courses with Robert Tisserand on essential oils. I did courses with Rosalie de la Forêt on herbs and learned to make different medications, natural medications for the body, for healing. So I've done all that. And what it eventually brought me to was the frequencies. So I was reading all these books and it brought me to the frequencies, the Schumann resonance and everything. And eventually it got me into tuning forks. And that's where it was just the big kind of revelation for me, I guess. And I started working with frequencies in and around the body. So that was really, really interesting. And what it's done for myself and for the clients that I see, it's kind of amazing. And the further I went into the frequencies, the more things would come up. So our body, like everybody knows that we're energy, right? We're full of energy. If we weren't energy, if we're electric, if we weren't, then they wouldn't use the pedals on our heart if our heart stopped, right? So we're electric. And our energy field expands out from our body up to 6 feet, and it can go further. But I usually start between 5 and 6 feet coming in with the tuning forks. And we're kind of like trees, because I shouldn't say it like that, we're kind of like trees, but if you cut a tree, you can see that the tree has the circles, right? The rings, and every year it gets another ring. Well, we're kind of the opposite. Our rings are on the outside, is when we were conceived and when we were born. And then as we come in closer to the body, it gets closer to the age we are today. And so with the tuning forks, I can come in and I can read the energy. It's almost like reading a record. It's like a needle on a record, and reading what is in that energy. And like you say about learning to release that trauma, that those experiences that we've lived, that have kind of set emotions or set blockages in our mind. That's the kind of thing that I can, and it's not me, it's the energy itself, right? It's actually you that does it as a client on the table. As I go through the energy and I feel something that's blocked or stagnant or suffocated there, the tuning fork will make a different sound and it'll feel different. And the person who's on the table, the body, their body, without even them realizing what's happening, their body is going to go, whoa, wait a minute, what is that? That doesn't sound right. And you kind of fix it yourself. And so the tuning fork goes back to normal, back to the frequency it's supposed to be, and then you can move on through. So it's just amazing at how we can heal ourselves just with frequency. And there's so much, right? I mean, I couldn't go into it enough. I can talk about it for hours and hours and hours. But that's pretty much what brought me to where I am. And then when I hit the different frequencies, sometimes if it's really in tune with the person, that's because we're all one, right? So the energy comes down and it's your energy is going up and coming down and coming in through me. And I can sometimes even see the picture of what that energy is at that point in your life. And it's almost like something, it's almost like an idea or a picture that comes into my head, and it says, okay, she was this age and this is the picture that I'm seeing. So, and then I can explain that out, and the person on the table goes, whoa, how did you know that? It's not me that knows that, it's in your energy. It's just reading the energy. So yeah, I work a lot with energy, and it's fun, it's interesting.
Yes,
It's amazing.
The energy too.
Yeah.
And doing the readings like I do online, I'm constantly like picking up people's energies one after another. And especially with the chakra runes that I have now, I find that the energy centers, it's so amazing how, distance means nothing. It really doesn't. And I mean, when I'm reading for people, all they have to do is focus their energy and it's here right in front of me, and I can like see and feel exactly where their imbalances are and how they got there. And it's just an amazing, amazing thing.
Because there's no limitation on energy, right? Like it's mostly about intuition,
That's right.
right? And what the intent is. So, and once we realize that everything is intent and that our thoughts that we have can come to free, can come alive, we have to be careful what our thoughts are,
Absolutely. And
right?
this is the other thing too that I find, the more that our vibrations are raising, the more power we have to manifest what we are thinking about. And I see that more and more happening in my life. And I think it's interesting because I think you and I had talked about the hippoponono.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono.
Yes.
The Ho'oponopono.
Uh,
And that's another course that I've done, and that's all about forgiveness. And forgiveness is so important. But go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's a good. When I started doing forgiveness work, because in my original set of runes, it talks a lot about forgiveness in those runes. And so when I started reading them for other people, like hearing how things come out for other people, they just automatically start to have thought patterns for yourself in your own life. And
Exactly.
so what was happening was my life started to shift very quickly because I was coming to it from a perspective of everything is here to teach me. I need to forgive and let go and move on. And the more I looked at it from that perspective, like I said, since I've been reading those runes for other people, my life has sped up extremely fast. I've cleared
Mhm.
stuff so fast. And then because no matter what, there was still that deep something there, right? And I'm not moving clearly, but then in the last couple of weeks, I've been doing the hippopono that we had talked about, and I find that even that is now clearing things even on a deeper level that I wasn't able to get to just with the basic forgiveness of forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and forgiving God energy.
Right. Yeah. And the Ho'oponopono is it's something that I do on a daily basis now. Sometimes I'm doing it with like subconsciously, not even realizing that I'm doing it. And it's just made an amazing difference in my life. And you're right, things are again, things are moving so much faster. It's like we're on a faster timeline right now, right? Things are shifting so much faster than they were. And like you say, the more people that you help, right? The more you get help back.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a give take, and it's just so beautiful.
It really is. It really
Mhm.
absolutely is. And two, talking about the past life stuff that you had touched, that you were having people go into past life regression. Um, some of the past life stuff that I've seen in my work doing the hypnosis is, we have had millennials of suffering on the planet.
Absolutely.
And even though we don't know it, but we have these repeated emotions happening in our life today, it a lot of times stems from something that's happened in a previous life that we've carried with us. And that is creating circumstances for you in your life today that is causing you to be stuck in these emotions. I mean, how many times why does this always keep happening to me?
Exactly.
Like it didn't, this isn't something that happened in my family. It's not something but it's happening to me. Well, that's like usually an indication that, okay, you've been carrying this with you for a long time. And
Mhm.
so, in past life regression, that is one of the ways to do some deep healing. And also just the types of programming that we've had. Sorry, my computer might ring here, but the
It's
types of
okay.
programming that we've had is, deep in our DNA. It's not something that,
Absolutely. And we carry that on with every life, right? Every lifetime we're carrying on pieces of that.
that's right. Yeah. And so, going in and doing this work, some people think, oh, I must be freaking crazy. I'm seeing these visions and all of this stuff. Like it has no sense. The word, like, don't judge yourself as these things are coming out. To say, I love you. I understand. I hear you, and give yourself that internal hug that you need. And, you know, mistrusting what your mind is doing is probably one of the most hurtful things that you can do to yourself physically, because these things are coming up for a reason, and your mind is to be trusted. This is, we've been told that we can't trust who we are, who we've developed ourselves into being, in this whole journey that we've been on. And so, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just that those words, am I going crazy? Like that's completely normal, right? If you're having thoughts that you think, oh my God, does that even make sense? Am I going? I feel like I'm going crazy. That's completely normal when you're going through a spiritual awakening.
Absolutely, it is,
And
and
you
it.
do. I mean, it's like, that picture that you see on Facebook all the time, people, what people think a spiritual awakening is. It's like,
Yeah.
right? And what it actually is, like, so it is. It's exactly like that. You don't, but what it does is when you're able to go deep and do that inner work, that shadow work, that's, and very important, forgiveness, like you said, love yourself. Don't, we're always told, oh, don't judge other people, don't judge other people. And no, you shouldn't judge other people because everybody's on their own journey, but don't judge yourself. Be easy on yourself, right? Because whatever you're thinking, wherever you are right now in your journey, is exactly where you're supposed to be.
That's right.
It's exactly where you're supposed to be. So if you're watching today, whether you're watching live or you're going to watch later on because you're at work or whatever, just keep that in mind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be in life, and keep asking. Keep asking for guidance. Keep asking for help to get where you want to be, to learn those things, to do that inner healing, to heal those traumas, to get past those. What do I want to say? Past those conditioning that we've all learned, right, throughout this lifetime and past lifetimes, and it'll happen.
Yeah. I think that like when I first started on my spiritual journey, I really didn't have many people to talk to about this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I was like a lone ranger in a lot of ways, and I had to
Yeah.
speak out. But I'm such an individual, like that even people in the spiritual community, I didn't resonate that much with. Like I was very much you know, I did things on my own. And I can't tell you how many times I had to tell myself, I'm exactly where I need to be, because I would be like, why ain't I further ahead? Why ain't I like that person? Why am I not, but I had to keep telling myself I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly who I need to be. There's no need to be running around trying to, be something else. And, like through past life regression, I could understand why my life was the way that it was. And it helped me to really wrap my mind around, I had a lot of things happen to me in my life, but they had to happen that way because of some things that happened in my earlier lives. 1 second.
Right.
I need to go dance. Okay, I love you. Bye.
So, and that's really important what you said, Linda, about how we compare ourselves to others. That's a conditioning. That's something that we were always taught to do, right? And I had mentioned the generations, like the different generations. How I'm in the baby boomer, just at the end of the baby boomer generation, and you came before that, and then there's other ones. So in your generation, the awakening was a little bit earlier. So in the baby boomers, it's a little bit later in life. That now there are the exceptions, don't get me wrong, but the majority, it's a little bit later in life for the baby boomers. In your generation, it's a little bit earlier, and in the younger generation coming up, it's even earlier, right? Like and the conditioning, I guess, has already been because my ear is popping here, because we've moved so much. The younger ones coming up right now don't have as much to move. They don't have as much to shift, right? I mean, give you an example. My grandson, oh my God, he's so special. He's 11 years old, but when he was about, I don't know, maybe he was 8 or 9, we were driving in the car one day, and he was talking to me about this little friend he had. And then he went on to talk about another friend. And I might have told you the story already, Linda, because he just amazes me. But he went on to talk about another little friend. And so I said to him, not even thinking, right? I said to him, so which friend would you rather play with? I didn't see anything wrong with that question. Apparently he did, because his face completely changed and he went, Nana, I don't do that. I don't compare people. So this is an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, however old he was at the time. It was like, oh my God, you are so right. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to ask you to compare your friends. So it's just an example of how the generations are working differently, right? And the kids growing up today are so much further ahead. And anybody who has children knows that. Look at your daughter.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? So way further ahead than what we were at that age. Now, maybe you, but not me for sure.
I know I was nowhere near, but then again, I didn't have like my daughter, she'll come to me with, oh, mommy, I had this crazy dream. And then we talk about her dream and then what does it mean? And you know what I mean? Like, so we
Right.
go through that. Like
So that makes a big difference,
it,
right? Because
it,
especially when you were going through your spiritual awakening in the beginning, it's like you said, you had nobody to talk to. Well, the kids growing up today, because there are more people into the spirituality, and that, the religion as such is kind of all coming crashing down, right?
absolutely.
And yeah, so
Yeah. And it's funny. I'll just tell this one story about Ella because I thought,
yeah.
wow, that's incredible. Like it just happened just like that. And I was like, wow, some people struggle because she's an empath. Like I know it. She's an empath. She's picking up energy all the time. So she will have dreams and she'll see energies, like different being energies. And she'll wake up and she'll be
Right.
like, mommy, there was da 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 da, and tell me about it. And so this one morning, this just happened last week, I believe. This one morning she said, oh, mommy, there was like this really tall being and he was kind of like standing tall and he had these long arms. She's not scared of anything when it comes to
No,
that.
that's good. That's good.
And I've taught her that she doesn't have to be. So I think that helps. But anyways, so she's describing this being that she saw in her dream. And then she said, but I still feel I'm awake and I still feel that he's there. And then she comes down, she's like, I don't feel like this is what I wanted to wear today. And I don't feel like this is how I want my hair today. And she said, I still just feel this being around me. And I said, Ella, you just pull God energy in and he's gone. And like within seconds, she's like, yep, pulled her hair out and fixed herself up. And she's like, that's better.
Good. That's awesome.
Those things that, you know, these are the things that would, like, our children in past would have been told, like, you're crazy, don't talk about that stuff, like just, and I
It's just a dream. It's not real.
yeah. And then when she would, like, if you continue trying to say, like, but I still feel it and I still know it's like, and oh gosh, you're crazy. Like, you got to go see a
Yeah.
psychologist. Like,
Yeah. What kind of drugs are we going to put you on now?
right. And
Right.
so, I just feel like that's what's happened a lot to a lot of our youth.
Yes.
And just fostering that and giving her the power to clear that stuff from herself and know how to do it. Like she's really in tune with even all of her emotions. What are they trying to say? What are they trying to teach her? So I feel pretty proud about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you should.
Yeah.
That's good.
She's a pretty special girl.
She is. She is. All children are at that, the younger children now, they're just amazing, right?
They
So,
really, 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 really are. They really
yeah. Yeah.
okay,
So
so
where else are we now? We kind of made ourselves little crib notes to see where we were going to go with this and what time are we at. So we're at about 10 to 3,
yeah,
pretty close to 10 to 3. I think we did pretty good for our first podcast.
I think pretty good. So we want to do a couple of announcements.
Mhm.
So next week we're going to be talking about healing and the process of healing. So we're going to be focusing on that. What other announcements do you have?
I don't think I have any. Oh, we didn't talk about our courses that we have. So I have, I actually haven't published them yet, but hoping that they will come out very soon. I'm working on courses on tuning forks right now, which has a lot to do with frequencies. Yeah, it's quite interesting actually. So it's going to be a 4-level course. And I've already got my courses that I've been doing personally, which I've not been able to do. I mean, not live, sorry, not online, in person, like here in the room. We were doing natural product making with herbs and oils and stuff. So those have kind of been put on hold right now. And I'm looking to maybe revamp them to put them online. But the tuning fork course is going to be going online, and hopefully within the next couple of months I'll have at least the first 2 levels on.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And you've been
Amazing.
so hard at that. I love it.
Yes, yeah. And for you, your courses are?
Well, I have always running my dream interpretation course. So you can take instead of buying the book, you can actually take the course where you learn step by step how to interpret your own dreams. I also have my rune reading course that is learning how to read the angel runes. That one is also always running and always available.
And just to interrupt you for a quick minute there, Linda, not the chakra runes that you do. Just guys, if you have not had a reading done with Linda for your chakras or your energy centers, you just got to get in touch with her to get that done, because it is amazing and it will really help you with healing. We'll get more into that the next show. But go ahead, Linda. Sorry.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm always taking one-on-one appointments for different types of readings. I do the chakra readings and the angel runes. I also pull some of my cards out and stuff, depending on what's going on and what you need to, like where you need guidance. And then I also have my spiritual development course. I only take 10 students at a time. And we work interactively to help your own spiritual development as you go, and you learn all about your energy systems and your energy centers, how to use your energy centers, how to read them. You also learn all about your dreams and how to use your dreams and how those work in the energy centers as well. And you also learn about how to foster an environment, so your environment around you, to promote that the spiritual journey as well. So it's a 3-week course, and we have 3 live classes, coaching calls, and one-on-ones that I do with everybody in the class. So, but I'm only taking 10 students at a time, and it's I want it to be very interactive and intimate. So I'm looking for a specific type. So there is a quiz that you have to take to qualify for the class.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, and I figure that once it starts to get rolling a little bit, there'll be different levels of it happening all at the same time, which I'm really looking forward to. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, did you have anything else there, Lynn? I'm just having a look to see if there was anything else that we wanted to talk about.
I think we've got everything in.
I think we pretty much got everything in.
I am doing an interview with somebody about twin flames and soulmates on Friday.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. Somebody approached me and asked me if I could interview them because they were feeling a little intimidated about jumping online and doing the live on their own. And I said, absolutely.
That's good. So you'll be sharing that out?
Yeah, I'll be sharing that out. It's going to happen on Friday afternoon. It's going to be 12:11, which is 11:11 her time. That was a very important number for her, so she wanted to do it at that time. And that's going to be airing on the Virtual Health Food Store page. But you can also, I'll share it to all my platforms as well. So
right, and what you might want to do, Linda, is put the link of your pages on the podcast page. Sure. And I'll do the same. The link of my page I'll put on the podcast page, so that if anybody's interested in following from there, they can.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So click on the link of Linda's pages, and if you like the pages, then when she goes live, you'll see that pop up in your news feed on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And we're also going to be uploading the videos to YouTube. If if you're not on Facebook, we'll put the links for that on the YouTube, on Facebook and in YouTube. We'll kind of link everything together so that you know where to go to kind of see what you want to see, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of stuff. So much fun happening. Oh, and I also do free coaching calls. Yep, I haven't gotten my consistency with it yet, but it's coming.
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
But on
All good.
Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1:00 Atlantic time, I do free coaching calls. If you want to be added to the thread where you get notifications, you can just drop a comment below, let me know, and then I can add you to the thread. And before I go live doing pretty much anything, I let everybody know there.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Perfect. So I think that's it. So we will see, well, I'll see you before next week, but we'll see y'all next week. So next Wednesday at 2:00, same time, Atlantic Standard Time, we will be back with another focus.
Bye, everybody.